Hello guys, today we will be doing a quick comparison between 3ds Max version 2023, with which is the latest version, against Blender 3.5, which is the latest official release from Blender Foundation. And the the main thing is I will be comparing here. There are lots of topics for comparison because both are 3D software. So in both you can create 3D content, rendering, modeling, shading, everything. But I will be comparing the Viewport because some friend of mine that use some friends that been using Max for a while. I'm a personal Max user since 2011 and a Blender user since 2015. And they have told me that the new Max viewport is much better than the previous versions, so I'm willing to try it. So it's not just that; it's a couple new features in 3ds Max that are. It shows that Autodesk is putting some effort recently in making 3ds Max better after a while without doing that. And let's see how improved the interface is compared with the versions that I used to use in the past, which is 2019. So this version is a trial, and you can see here Max 2023. Okay, and this is Blender 3.5. You can see here it's very small, but you can see that. From overall interface, Blender looks cleaner, looks more empty, so the settings are more kind of hidden, and that's 3D Max. Okay, the viewport. First thing you can see now is Max is much more flexible. Okay, so now you see that you can drag and drop, and you see things updating in real time, almost in real time. But yeah, we can consider real time compared with how it was before. Let's just remove this guy here to make it cleaner. So introduce Max to add a new way of view. Your views are like this. Okay, let's say that with this. I can notice it's still a bit kind of lagging. So now you can kind of drag and drop, and you can set up your views pretty much as you want. But in this case, I can see there's a difference from Blender here. Okay, because in Blender those works like individually, so you can go up and down, and that's, in my opinion, is very useful for some cases. Let's try to make a layout similar to that one. Okay, so let's kind of duplicate the current so we don't mess around with this guy, and here we can kind of split it up, this and also this. Okay, so this is more or less what we have here. Okay, let's put very similar. That's top, that's front, and that maybe is right. Okay, okay, similar, right? The difference is in here, as you can see. Okay, up and down, and here you can control them, up and down as well. Okay, simple, just like that, exactly the same. I thought that you would be able to control them individually, but you can't, apparently. the only way would be kind of doing this. Okay, so now you kind of can control them individually. That's what I was about to show you. And for some reason, if you lock here, okay, I got it. If you lock it here, you control both at the same time. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, okay, so far so good. But in any case, if you don't want to control them like as above, you can always like control them individually, and that's good because sometimes you are here on your shader editor and you just need more space here, but you don't want to mess around here, so you can use this, you know, as you want. And I don't see the option here, but maybe it's my lack of knowledge, and maybe there is an option. Okay, I don't see that, but anyway, let's go back. Let's go back to previous layout. Okay, and what we are gonna do here, we are gonna import basically one OBS file, which is this guy. It's a kind of a big file, okay, and we are gonna import here and import inside Blender. Okay, let's import OBJ, download it. Here's the guy. Okay, let's import. So I would skip all of that. So 3ds Max importing. Blender imported already, so we could see pretty quick importing, right? So that's the file. Let's go Max. Max is still importing. A bit heavier probably to deal with that than Blender. Probably if it was FBX, 3ds Max would be importing faster than Blender because FBX is Autodesk format, so the compatibility with 3ds Max is much better probably. But we are importing like general OBS file. Okay, so that's 3ds Max viewport. It looks good, man. Looks good, right? It looks clean, looks good. Okay, it came with this shader issue, but that's easy. That's easily fixed. Not a big deal at all. I'm assuming we just can go to edit, convert that into edit poly, select all of that and make it flat. Where is that? Clear all or auto smooth or not showing the smooth results. It's been a while, man, since I worked with 3ds Max, so I think that option should be somewhere here. Smoothing groups, no. Anyways, let's convert it back. Maybe we use smooth. Yeah, smooth modifier, so you don't use out smooth. Okay, so here you go. 3ds Max, viewport. Let's see the main difference. Let's get to this point here. Okay, try to work a bit here. Let's take Blender to that same point here. Okay, and work here. 3ds Max. Okay. First of all, this looks very flat and I can't see that much the geometry, okay, unless I go maybe the wireframe mode. And wireframe is, it seems pretty much the same. Let's do wireframe in Blender and see how it goes. Okay, into this max, I like what I like. It's showing the different IDs. So the wireframe it's colored by different IDs. It makes easier to kind of distinguish from the geometry around it. Okay, I like that. And here the wireframe in Blender, you can kind of set up the opacity of your wireframe, which is kind of cool. So you can maybe have that smoothly or something. But yeah, pretty much that. Okay, into this max, unless I want to see the wireframe mode. I don't want to see any wireframe mode, and I just want to see my geometry how it's going here, and that's a bit difficult for me, so I will try something else. I will try ambient occlusion. Okay, nothing really happens. Let's make the blender similar. Let's make the blender flat. Okay, let's go here and make it flat, or even removing the cavity and removing the outline. Studio, Metacap, flat, flat's too flat. Okay, that's similar. So what we have in 3D Max, so I don't see that much distinction, but still, man, it's still better. I mean, it's still better visually. One thing that I remember I could do in 3ds Max was going here and configure viewports and go here, statistics, layout, set frame, version, where was that? I could go here, the full shading and viewport preferences, settings, and showing two lights. I show two lights. That's much better for me, at least, because I don't see the black anymore, and now it's more like what we have it here in Blender, so we see more or less what's going on. However, I would like to see the ambient occlusion, and I still don't see that here. Maybe that's inside the high quality or DirectX mode. Okay, DirectX mode, I can see there is some ambient occlusion going on, but this ambient occlusion is not really helping me that much. Maybe viewport configuration. Hmm. Okay, still not that intuitive, because you have viewport configuration and then you have viewport preferences. I don't really know the difference from configuration to preferences. I think all of that should be in the same place, but still Autodesk prefers that. Ambient occlusion is not available here. That's the DirectX mode. Let's go to maybe standard again. So okay, now we have our ambient occlusion, which nothing happens. Nothing is still happening. Advanced. Okay, advanced. That's the way to go. And now we can set up the radius of our ambient occlusion, and now we can see the geometry. Here we go. And you can save that probably as your main 3ds Max visualization. tool. That's pretty cool, man. I like that. I like that. Okay, but then I have lost my two lights, so I have to go here on viewport configuration again. Oh, not configuration. The preferences. Go to the lights and leave it two lights. Okay. Now we are talking. Okay. Okay. That's what I want to see 3ds Max. Ambient occlusion. Still, I think it's too much steps to get there. I don't know. In Blender seems easier. You just need to go here and activate your cavity, and that's all. Okay. And you can have different ways of seeing your mesh, and no, it's easier to understand what is going on, in my humble opinion. Okay, and it's easy to set up the ambient occlusion, because let's put this as maybe as, no, let's leave it in material flat. Let's see like this. It's a bit easier in my opinion, because cavity is kind of, it's easier to set up. You set up here on your viewport, you can go here and set the distance. Okay, leave it more like having more distance. See, from the edges and all. It helps to see the whole thing. It helps you to see the whole thing. Let's go back, not to flat, but studio. And you still have your ambient occlusion going on. As soon as you delete it, you don't see that. Also, one thing that you have is very helpful is the outline. When you draw an outline, even if you don't, even if you do not have your ambient occlusion, even if you have just that, if you set up here your outline, you can see it draws an outline around all the geometry, so you can see very much everything. Okay, how it's supposed to be. And you have this guy here, which is light rotation. Okay, I don't know, I don't use that much. Anyway, you can have your background as a metagap. You can change the side of the metagap. Okay, let's keep going, right? So let's bring it back our cavity. So we have our cavity here. Let's go back to 3ds Max. Okay, we have ambient occlusion going on all over the place. Okay, and that's cool. Okay, now we can see that better, much better, much better, much better. If you want to have more ambient occlusion like in Blender, you can go to Eevee and see and work in Eevee. But I recommend this is good enough. This setup for me for 3ds Max is good enough. Let's go to performance and see how it goes. Okay, it seems that the performance erase the ambient occlusion for some reason, and it's not drawing the flipped face, which makes this pretty much useless as it was before. So you don't see anything, so it doesn't really matter, it doesn't really help you anything. This is more or less what Blender would be using single shade, okay, which is a kind of performance. But here in Blender you still can see everything. Okay, even the flipped face you can see, and you can still set up your ambient occlusion as much as you want. Okay, the distance and the attenuation. Okay, everything, the sample, all that. Okay, you can set up your screen space, which is kind of glowing from the edge. That helps to see what's going on your scene. So I think that's better, kind of. And if you go to flat, you still can see what's going on. If you go to flat, and in flat mode you activate single, it's the same as performance in Blender, but in flat way, in Max, but in a flat way. And here you can see the materials here, and here you can see random objects. So each object, which is separate, it's shown in a different color. Okay, let's go back to 3ds Max. Performance still seems pretty much useless for me. Uh, unless I go here and I do ambient occlusion as well, right? Direct X, bam, and brings me back. Okay, now we are talking. Now we are talking. Okay, here we go. That's how the performance should behave. And then now we can, but still we can see the flipped faces. Maybe there's an option here. I don't know, man. I just can see. Anyway, you can save your settings here for your performance as well, I guess. Okay? And then you can have your ambient occlusion being visible on your performance. Okay? Let's go back to single and see. Okay. So, okay. Now it's better. Still, I kind of think that look at this edge here. It's hard to see the difference from this geometry to the other geometry. And think the way that Blender draws, it helps. Like you never get confused. You know where every single edge is being drawn. Okay, you can see that, right? There is no confusion. There's no confusion on that, and I think that's because of the outliner. Yeah, outliner, that helps. Okay, so far so good. 3ds Max doing good. Let's go back to from performance to standard, and then let's see clay. What is clay? Oh, it's like a ZBrush, right? ZBrush style. Okay, seems okay. Seems good. Let's try to do the same here in Blender, which is metacap. We can choose any metacap. So let's say this one. It seems more refined to me. To be honest, it seems like all the other settings keeps preserved. You know, the outline, the cavity, you don't lose anything. In 3ds Max, it seems that every time you choose something, you lose something else, and then you have to configure everything, okay? So it doesn't look that much polished. You know what I mean? Let's try to see side by side here, okay? So we can judge by ourselves, okay? I think this guy is kind of better to see. I don't see the lines here for the sidewalk. Here we can see everything is, you know, easier, well divided. I don't know. It seems easier to check what is going on. Okay. Okay, let's do a hidden line, I don't know what is that. Okay, that's something. Model assist. What is model assist? It's, I don't know, it seems the same as default shading. Okay, facets, everything will be faced. Okay, let's go for high quality. I probably will have some shadows, something going on, which is kind of I don't know, man. Something is going on here. I don't like it, but it is what it is. It is what it is. And you have your active shader if you are using Arnold. Okay, let's go back. I don't like this mode. High quality, standard. Then you have your active in shader, which is, I will continue. Continue. Okay, let's continue that and see. Oh, okay. That's Arnold. Active shade of Arnold. Okay, cool. And what do we have here? In no, not here. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Let's go to a render tab. Maybe we can define it here if we are using GPU or CPU. Okay. Anyway, no, no, not gonna be. In this case, this is Arnold. Okay, let's go out. In Blender, you don't use Arnold. You will use cycles. So probably here you have to go here and then you see cycles. Okay. That's kind of the active shader. But if you want to go for a different mode, you can go Eevee and then try to use Eevee here, which will be kind of calculating a bit the shaders, but then you have more accurate view, and you can have shadows, you can have more, you can have better, for example, ambient occlusion. Okay, you can have screen space reflections. Okay, so you will have your reflections here and any surfaces. You can go here instead of having the sky having an environment texture and open, let's say, an HDRI. I don't know, whatever HDRI, let's say. Let's use this guy. Okay, we can have that. One. And we have a nice HDRI. If you don't want to see the environment, you just use it transparent. So, and you can pretty much keep modeling, right? So you still can see the wireframe. Okay, and keep going doing things like that. You can improve your, you can go and change your ambient occlusion here for something like that, maybe, you know, if you want to have more precision on your ambient occlusion, and you can have, oh my goodness, it seems there's a glass material here. That's okay. You can go here, shader mode, you can go back. I prefer model in this way not using Eevee because sometimes Eevee can be heavy when you start to load in some materials and some things here. Let's change the metacap to the beginning. But you have these options here for metacap as well. So you can, if you want to change and try your reflections and see if you have any issue, you have those metacaps here that helps kind of you to get texturing, for example, uh, see if something is going on with your mesh. You have those options here, those fall off options, glossy. I don't know, I don't use those that much. The only one that I use is this one, the basic. I don't use even the ZBrush. I actually like the studio and keeps going with that. Sometimes I go flat, you know, and using flat with material or random, so I can go modeling like quickly, seeing everything. Okay, and in 3ds Max, yeah, those are the options. Okay, I still, to be honest, uh, and I got back and I lost my light again, so I have to go here and go preferences and change to the full lights. You know, those kind of things that I kind of hated in the past, I still hate. Okay, because I can see there is, I have to change it all the time. Let's save, let's use this as a standard 2. Okay, I save this as standard 2. Okay, let's go performance, let's go standard, and still go get back. So I have to go here and do what? Preferences, go here and use it, what? Standard 2. Okay, that's not intuitive. Guys from Autodesk, that's still pretty bad. This means that I cannot be changing modes because every time I have to go here and go preferences and change it everything. So everything that I hated the most on 3ds Max Viewport is still there, to be very honest with you. The main things, the useful things that I used to like, I like to see this. I like to, for example, open 3D Max, work with this view, change my view here, go here, and you know, choose this, go to perspective, you know, go here and still and try to use uh, and I have to go here again, go here, choose standard 2, and nothing is gonna happen anymore because I don't know why. Because so you know what, that's 3ds Max Viewport, and here you go, that's Blender Viewport. You guys judge what you guys think it's better for you. Okay, and I'm way more comfortable with Blender Viewport just because everything works as it should be. You know, I don't have any difficult or problems with that, right? If I split this viewport here, is the same viewport, right? I can go here and change this one to, for example, metacap. I can in this run remove the cavity, remove the outline, and I still have both working. Okay, I can go here and render these cycles or EV or cycles, whatever, you know, and I have still here working going on. Okay, that's another test. Let's do this test. Okay, let's go here in 3ds Max and let's split. Okay, I split it, and as soon as I split it, I lose my standard. It keeps this. It just turns into a wireframe. Okay, and then let's say that I want to go P, so camera mode, but I like to go here to the preferences and use what I saved, which was the standard 2, and voila, and what, and nothing happens. Nothing happens. Okay, it's pretty much useless as well. So I go here and standard and active in shader using Arnold, and I will go out my wireframe. Okay, that's cool. So we can use Arnold here. Okay, see what's going on. We can see what's going on and still play around here. Okay, so far so good. Okay, it's similar behavior here as we have here. If we try to use cycles, for example, okay, and we still can do things here, okay, and we quickly can kind of model in here. Okay, let's try to do the same here. 3ds Max, I take this guy, convert that into poly, and still loading. I miss something. Okay, it's okay, okay, right? But to be honest, too slow. I would never do that. No, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Okay, yeah, let's leave this creepy active shader. And yeah, you can't. Oh boy, you can't compare, man. Look at this. Look at this. Bye bye cycles. Okay, that's it, guys. I still prefer like Blender Viewport, but that's my personal opinion. Let me know what you guys think about the brand new 3ds Max 2023 Viewport compared with Blender, and let me know your thoughts. Thumbs up, thumbs down. If you don't like, subscribe the channel. See you soon.